The popularity of small scale crawlers has just exploded, and if you've been enjoying these indoors and are looking for a little bit more of a challenge than driving over some books or Legos or something like that, and you don't want to bring some rocks into your living room, I've got something you need to see. Wood obstacle kits from the Hangar RC, and they're perfect for 1/18 scale and 1/24 scale models. They're wood build-up kits, kind of like when we used to have when we were kids, the dinosaurs we put together out of the thin plywood slabs. Remember those things? Let me know if you had them in the comment section below. I know I had a Brontosaurus, but it's a similar concept. And when you're done, you have these really cool, challenging obstacles. Let's take a closer look at each one. I've got 3 of the obstacles here to check out, and it sounds like they've got more in the works for the future, but we'll start with the frame bender here. These plywood sheets are laser cut. You're gonna need to pop out each of the pieces and then assemble it, then apply the graphics to the side. But it sounds like these can be adjusted as well, so once you get used to it, you can change it up if you want to. And this is really going to challenge your rig. You're gonna have to navigate through some inclines and descents, and it'll be a lot of throttle control. Now, next up is the broken bridge, and this looks like it's just gonna be a blast. It's a teeter type of situation where you're gonna have to use throttle control to keep your rig from tipping over too quickly, possibly falling off. Sounds like they have 2 different settings here, so I like that these things are adjustable. And finally, we have the wave here, which is based after a landmark in southern Utah from what it says, but this is really going to flex your rig. See what type of articulation it has. It's got 3 inches of vertical drop, just to give you an idea of how much that suspension is gonna drop out. All right, I'm gonna go build these things up, and we're gonna test them probably right here on this table. It'll be cool to have my own course in my own workshop. I've broken all the pieces free from the wooden plates, and it's a pretty simple task. I just kind of use the wiggle method to break everything off, use my X-Acto knife to score any pieces that look like it was gonna splinter before I broke the piece completely off, and everything looks really good. Just gotta go through with the X-Acto knife again and clean out some of the holes. Just a tip for you guys for knocking out the pieces that are in the holes, just use my 1.5 millimeter hex driver, just push those right out. And now it's time to assemble this thing. But first up, I'm gonna go and install these graphics on the side plates here. And to do that, I'm just gonna go and use some spray adhesive. So I'm gonna go outside, I'll flip this over, I'll spray the one side of this, I'll spray the other side, and then just throw this down on top and put something on top just to weigh it down until it dries. Then I'll go and assemble the rest of this obstacle. I've got the wave all finished up. It looks really cool, and to be honest with you, I've already been driving on it. It's a lot of fun. I spent over an hour just going back and forth. Now it's time to build the other 2. Here we go. I've got all 3 obstacles assembled. They look really cool, and it just took me a few hours to build up. Most of the time is taken up by simply punching these things out of the panel. Just take your time so you don't crack any of the wood, and you should be good to go. Now let's start off over here with the wave. Already been having fun with this, as I mentioned. Really cool setup here. So just as is, as they picture it, it's a lot of fun where when you crawl over this, and I'll show you the crawling in a minute, the wheels lift up off the ground, it's gonna teeter, it's gonna roll on you, and you have to use your skill to drive it out of it. And then if you want to go and change things up, you can actually pull one of these sections out, and with all these notches here, you can move it back and forth, and that just gives you new challenges. Really like that. Did want to mention that there is a slight change in some of these things. I talked to them and they sent me some really early versions, and newer versions actually have thinner plywood, so it's much easier to assemble and it flows much smoother and it won't crack on you. I did have one little piece crack on me, but they've already revised that with the new kits. Now over here, the frame bender. This is a pretty awesome obstacle as well. Set up a little bit different, and it has a few extra pieces that are part of the plates. Those are just extras in case you break something or some. I'll tell you something else you can do with them in a minute. But the frame bender, pretty neat setup. So just a compact obstacle, number one, and it's really challenging, really twists up the suspension on this, gives it some articulation action. And then what you could do is you could go and pull some of these plates out if you want, and that opens up the gap, makes everything a little bit more challenging. So you really have to strap straddle each of these individual plates. Or what you can do is take these plates out and use it, like for example, use this rear notch over here on the front side of it and actually extend the course out. And as I mentioned, they gave you extra plates in the kit. They've actually revised this as well, where they go and give you an extra foot plate, and you could go use one of these finger plates and again, extend this out so you can have a much longer course, much more challenging course. Pretty cool setup. I do like the frame bender. And finally, the bridge out requires the most work as far as assembly goes. It needed some more gluing as far as the hinge point here. There's little circles that you have to glue onto the bridge itself. And I actually glued the bridge on this one just to keep everything together nice and tight. You also have to put some soap around the hinge ring on there just so everything moves nice and free. As you can see, this is an awesome obstacle. Now I have it set up with the 4 washer weights that they give in the kit, and that allows it to return to its normal position. You can go and leave those weights out if you want to, you know, have it go and drop down and stay. Should be a lot of fun for balancing practice. You know, when the weights are on there, it's a bit more challenging, but you know, with the weights out, that's a fun challenge to go and have with this. So these are pretty cool. Now I'll just do a quick demo so you can see how these obstacles are. I might need a few more of these kits because I've got a little course set up here and I'm having so much fun with these obstacles. Over the frame bender, up my ramp, that's my own design, I know you guys like it. Up the bridge, right here it drops down, there we go. No way I could teeter on that with those weights. And now through the wave. Watch, this is the tricky part here. It rocks over. Oh, let's see. Here, this is the tricky part. Look at that. It wants to go over, a little counter steer, drop it back down. Yeah, there we go. I extended the frame bender so it'll be a little bit more challenging with those wider gaps. Let's see how I do. Of course, one-handed driving. Those tires are just wide enough. Perfect. Whoa, I'm running off on that side. Yeah, got it. Awesome. I modified the wave a little bit, moved this rear track section forward 1 notch, and it'll give me a little bit different of a challenge. We've got a big incline to hit here. There we go, got it. Now, what's it gonna do? I haven't driven this yet. Oh, it went down smooth. There we go. Nice, I like that setup. The crawler obstacles from the Hangar RC are a lot of fun to drive on. The wave is about 40 bucks, the bridge is about 40 bucks, and then the frame bender I think was $30, which is a pretty good deal. Like I said, they're a lot of fun to put together, they're changeable, and they're way better than just driving your crawler around on your couch. I'll have links in the video description.